I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, the podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
I fell in love this couple weekends ago with a little album called The Loneliest Time. How'd you feel about it,
Oh,
Matt?
my God. So a little inside baseball. Rachel and I have been texting about the album, and we were like, oh, we definitely have to talk about it. Like, this is not a music podcast, but one and two biggest CRJ fans in the world are me and Rachel. I mean, it doesn't matter who's who. It's just that we are.
Yeah.
But like I feasted this weekend. CRJ, new Tegan and Sarah, new Taylor Swift, new Arctic Monkeys. Like, it was just a great weekend for music. But yeah, the CRJ album might be. I can't decide if I still like Emotion better or if I like this better than Emotion.
I'm going to say I think I like Loneliest Time more because it has yet to be meme-ified by the culture.
Fair enough.
You
We'll
know,
get there.
like Run Away With Me is an absolute bop. But that sax solo has been so meme-ified that it has like transcended its own music to be something else. And like The Loneliest Time hasn't done that yet. So like I'm very excited about it.
I do want to introduce our guest because I feel like he has opinions. We are, of course, joined by the incredible Joseph Hooper, a.k.a. the Hoop Man. Joseph, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Are you a CRJ fan as well? Do you listen to any pop music?
I'm going to tell you right now, I've never heard of CRJ. You guys are taking me to school right now. Like, I'm learning a lot.
Oh.
You're not Carly Rae Jepsen.
Carly Rae Jepsen.
Rae.
See, like, I'm not deep enough. I didn't know that was the acronym. You know, like, I know Carly Rae Jepsen, but I am the boomer who knows her as the, Call Me Maybe
The Call Me Maybe
woman.
Yeah,
So,
you know.
but I've seen the album art. I'm like, this looks very tasteful. This looks like something's going on here. Some emotions are being put on the table, maybe. I don't know. So I did listen to the Taylor Swift album though, which
Midnight's good stuff.
it's a vibe. It's a vibe.
Yeah, it's tough with Taylor Swift because like it feel like some of like the stuff that she did during the pandemic, like the more folky stuff, felt very kind of cool and down to earth, and like now Midnight's feels more like I'm the character of Taylor Swift again, which is fine. And I know there's real emotion in there, but like I love the song Antihero, but it feels so performative, like. I don't know. Like, it's just like I like the music, but it's not as relatable.
I just don't think you can call yourself an anti-hero when your carbon emissions are so large.
There's a point.
I think you're a straight up villain by that point.
Okay.
All right.
I'm coming for
Get
Taylor's
her.
carbon emissions.
Honestly,
Are you kidding me?
I think this is
Woof.
really funny because I was in the car with my girlfriend and she said that exact same thing. Not the villain part, we didn't get to that part, but she was like, folklore. I really love folklore because it was not about her. And now that it's about her again, I don't know how I feel about it. And I was like, very interesting. But I'm like, she's like, oh yeah, like, what do you feel? How do you feel about this song right here? I'm like, this definitely sounds like the same song from 2 albums ago. So I can see how people are excited about this if they like that album. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not necessarily a Swiftie, but I'm not against it. It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
It is. But enough about pop music, modern or otherwise. We are here to talk about TV, film, and the like. And we are going to talk more with Joseph about his incredible video game podcast and all the cool stuff that he does. But before we get to any of that, let's talk about the most recent things we have watched. And I, as always, will go first. And I just want to do a quick shout out. We haven't done these in a while. I'm in the process of watching Welcome to Wrexham, which is the documentary about Rob Mulcahy, I think is his last name, and Ryan Reynolds. They bought a football club that's soccer here in the States called for the town of Wrexham. They bought the team and they're trying to build them up and get them back into the major leagues, as it were, of the soccer world, and it's really compelling. I mean, it's also fun that it's two comedy legends kind of being goofy and like taking this very seriously, but still being goofy. And if you're on TikTok at all, you had seen their Wrexham recaps and like their commercials they did to support this. They're trying to modernize owning a football club and how they can like build this team up in this town, because they have been kind of on the lower rungs for a while and could use the like it's meant to be an uplifting story, and it's pretty interesting. And so I'm sure I'll bring it on in more depth once I've gotten through it. I'm about 4 episodes in, and I think there are 18 altogether. But it was worth mentioning just because I don't really watch a lot of documentaries, but this one really hooked me. The clue was that my partner Sarah watched it without me, and my partner Sarah, as far as I know, has no interest in football/soccer. So like, if they watched it, I was like, well, I guess there's something here more than just the sport of it all, which I like sports well enough, but there's something compelling about it. But the thing I've actually brought is the latest in the slew of Marvel TV shows. We are far enough removed from the finale, but I am, of course, here to talk about She-Hulk.
Excellent.
With no hyperbole, the best Disney Plus show they've put out. With no hyperbole. And I will say Loki is still one of my favorites for different reasons, but like there's no hyperbole in me saying it, at least, that it's the best one. And the reason I feel that way is you should know something about me first. I'm a giant sitcom nerd. Like, I love sitcoms, especially like 90s sitcoms, like, you know, Friends and you know, Seinfeld and even Mad About You. Like, I love that kind of corny, cheesy shit. Like, it's my jam. I don't know if it's the Jew in me. I don't know if it's the comedy nerd in me. It could be all of the above. But like, and so when She-Hulk leaned into that really quickly and like was breaking the fourth wall and constantly making jokes and really goofy, I was hooked. Also, I love Jamila Jamil. The fact her Titania was so good. Whether you love the show or not, she was incredible in that role, and like all the publicity stuff she did, the stuff on social media as the character, like I loved it. Like I saw a lot of hate for the finale, and I do admit that like I'm of two minds. I don't know if I want to spoil the finale because it's not been that long. It's only been a few weeks. But I will say I can see why people had issue with the finale. It was a very strange turn and a very different thing from anything else any of the other shows did. But I think for me, the reason I really liked it is because this kind of almost had nothing to do with the MCU. Like, there was things that tied it to it, but like for the most part, it got to be its own little isolated, like besides calling back to the Hulk specific stuff from the MCU. But it wasn't about Kang the Conqueror. It wasn't about the greater mission of the MCU. It wasn't about the...
No big blue beam in the sky. So refreshing.
Like, it's just, I liked that we got a break from that and got to see a little bit of slice of life. I also love slice of life anime and that kind of stuff. So, like, getting those moments with Jen Walters were great. I can see why it wasn't for everyone, but it was exactly what I wanted because I needed a break. As much as I loved and I did love Moon Knight, and I did love Miss Marvel, I enjoy all of these at different levels. And, like, as of when we're recording, they just released the Quantumania trailer, and I'm very excited to get back into the MCU BS, right? Like, it looks awesome. But this felt to me like a nice reprieve. It was just a nice break from the big picture stuff. And I know with Quantumania and Wakanda Forever, we're going to get back into that stuff, which is fine. But it was nice to have this little bit of reprieve. It looks like, Joseph, you had some thoughts, though, when I lauded this as the best Disney Plus show.
I mean, so no, here's my position on it, right? One, I have not seen it, right? So,
okay.
And I've been trying to find the time to figure out where to slot this in. And I have had the relationship with the MCU TV shows to date where we're at a point where, okay, some of them hit, some of them don't, some of them like set up stakes that seem like we're going to really be going there. And it kind of falls flat for me. Like, as much as I loved WandaVision, that was kind of the case for that show where it's like, man, this is getting insane. And by the time we get to the end of the show, I'm like, okay, well, you know, this was cool. And then it ties into Multiverse of Madness. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like it's flowing exactly like it should. But the way you're describing She-Hulk is very much how I felt about Hawkeye. Was it? It was
Yes.
called Hawkeye, right? I'm
Yep.
like, was it called the other character? But anyways, I really had no expectations for that show. And I'm like, I mean, I don't even really like Hawkeye. Like, do I care about what's happening here? And I ended up like I was able to remove myself from the bigger MCU picture, not expecting a lot to happen there. And I just had a good time. Like, I liked the comedic banter, the buddy cop like vibe throughout the whole show. And it was just kind of like, okay, I'm binging it. I think that's another part of it. Not watching it week to week is kind of hard to keep up, especially when the stakes aren't that severe.
Right.
But like so far, Loki was my favorite show. Just because it was like all of the above. It had great tie-ins, and it just had, great episode to episode plots and dialogue. So I'm excited. And, my mom, she's also a big MCU nerd. She said She-Hulk was pretty dang good. So I don't know. I'm kind of excited. I know a lot about the show, but I do not know what the twist was.
Okay,
And
great.
I saw 2 tweets.
Glad we didn't spoil it.
No, yeah, it's fine.
Too bad.
I've seen 2 tweets. All right, I've seen one when the finale aired. I saw one tweet that was basically like, "That's it. This cements it. She-Hulk was my favorite MCU production of all time. This was incredible." And then I saw another tweet that was like, "That's it. That cements it. She-Hulk was the worst like TV show."
It's divisive.
I'm
So
like,
divisive.
I'm so curious. What could possibly happen to make people this, split? But yeah.
I think it's because of all of the Disney Plus Marvel shows so far. This one is the most. It had to be a television show. I think the rest of them really felt more like this is a mini series. Probably could have been done in a movie amount of time, where the plot episode to episode is directly and completely influenced by the events of the previous episode. It's very much like you have to watch all however many episodes of Loki to get the full story.
Yeah.
But because this really keeps with that sitcom format, you have an A plot, a B plot, and then everything pretty much resolves.
Yeah.
The longer arc is there, but it's not so prominent that when you get to the end, you're like, oh, I had to know every single thing about everything up to this point. It's definitely the one that fits the form of television show the best, which is what I really, really appreciated. Fun lawyer show.
Yeah. And and I'm glad you brought up Hawkeye, Joseph, because Hawkeye is one of my favorite characters, and I like the Matt Fraction run, which is what it's that run was
It's got that flavor.
It was based on that loosely, but I feel comfortable spoiling this. If you haven't seen Hawkeye, fast forward about 3 minutes, but I'm going to spoil the last episode because I think it spoke to why I loved it so much. When the Kingpin is revealed in the second to last episode, just my hype I loved the Netflix shows. I didn't even finish all of them, but what I saw I really did love, and I do still want to go back to watch the rest of them, but something about Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, we've had some really good Kingpins even in the less than good movies, but I really loved Vincent D'Onofrio's performance. He really understood that character, and it's clear that he had a love for the comics and the character, even when he tweeted about it. And so to see him come back, because Kingpin's also such a big part of Hawkeye's lore as well as Spider-Man's, I really loved that whole run, and it led up to that, but it was still such small stakes, right? Kingpin has nothing to do with the greater cosmos, and it just felt fun and isolated. Also, love or hate Jeremy Renner for his BS as a person. He's a really good Hawkeye, especially in that series, because they played up the Family Man stuff in the movies, which was kind of out of nowhere, but we ran with it. But then his relationship with Linda Cardellini in the TV show, and the kids, and the trauma, and the really bad Avengers musical, which absolutely would exist if they were real, 100%. I loved all those small things, and I think that he, as an exhausted father who just wants to rest, was so relatable in a way that the character hadn't been that relatable before. He was just kind of a Joss Whedon snark machine, more or less, for better or worse, mostly worse. And so, I like that the TV shows have gotten to do that. I'm a big Oscar Isaac fan. Moon Knight is one of the few well-known Jewish superheroes, and it didn't get everything right, but it was cool to see that stuff on the small screen too. But I agree with you, Rachel. I think She-Hulk felt like a TV show. The others, Moon Knight, could have been a movie. Hawkeye absolutely could have been a movie.
Yeah. Hawkeye should have been a movie because then we could have had a little bit more emotional resonance with our Kingpin.
Yes.
The moment I saw that deleted scene that they pulled
Yeah.
just so they could get that big, like, we got him moment, it really. The Marvel Cinematic Universe often gets in its own way.
Yes.
Because of its own hype machine. And I think She-Hulk is the first time where it's like, okay, we're recognizing the hype. We're going to comment on it, but we're going to chug along and just make a really solid She-Hulk
Yeah.
adaptation. Because it is very, very much the same energy, the same vibe, the same character that She-Hulk has always been since
Yeah.
the 90s,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I loved it.
yeah.
But I also adored WandaVision. I thought WandaVision was going to be like my number one for like ever.
Yeah.
And then She-Hulk came along and was like, no, here I am.
Yeah. I mean, I think my biggest
I hope
issue
we
with
go to Venice Beach.
my biggest issue with WandaVision is the same issue that a lot of folks had is like the laser fight at the end just was kind of took the wind out of the whole show. Like,
I know, but like she remembered to use the runes.
Right.
And that's
It
the
was
thing
cool.
I'm always going to go back to. I was like, yes, it was like laser fight in the sky.
Yeah.
But they still got in a like, we set something up and now we're paying it off.
yeah, it was again, yeah, it was very cool, and I really enjoyed it. I just like She-Hulk doesn't even have that. She-Hulk got to be She-Hulk from start to finish, and as a fan of the comics and the character, besides the fact that the CG She-Hulk was not nearly as thick in Brickhouse as she should have been, she was still skinnified. Fine, whatever. Like, beyond that, I don't really have any complaints about the show. And of course, the CGI was not good most of the time, but like we knew that going in. That didn't register. Also, I still play old video games, so like bad CGI doesn't faze me. I still play PlayStation 1 games, which arguably have aged the worst of every gen because they were in between like realism and pixels, and it was just like pixels have aged great. The
Yeah.
360 gen has aged pretty well, but like yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, we just live in a terrible time where our commitment to live action and animation is so weirdly marred where it's like, okay, we're just going to put our actors in a bunch of green screen. We'll figure it out. And it's
Oh
just
boy.
artistically, it's not the best time for visuals just in general. Like I think the advent of that like screen surround that they used in The Mandalorian has been really great. Like putting actors in like actual space that they
Right.
can see with their eyes is very, very helpful. But yeah, we're kind of in this weird spot. And I felt it really, I'm sorry to go off on
No, it's okay.
Quantumania. Again, it's just one of those like watching the Quantumania trailer
Mm-hmm.
after having watched like some stuff that like happened in a place, in a space, on a set, in the outdoors. I just got really sad for what visuals have to do now, where it's just like that entire movie is just going to happen digitally. And
Yeah.
and at a certain point it's like, is this even live action anymore?
Yeah.
Because so much of it is created by a design team.
yeah. I mean, that's why
It's a tough time, and all of these poor VFX artists are just like beleaguered and overworked and underpaid, and we're just in a bad place.
I mean, what's
for it.
interesting is like the movie industry is catching up to a place the video game industry has been at for a long time. Like crunch for the video game industry has existed for a while, although it's become more public recently, but it's always been around. And like we're getting like that's now happening with movies and TV because there's so much VFX and it's just a different kind of labor and time. Yeah. I mean, also like the Sandman and talking about the Sandman on the show, like we did with Beefy, like that show was a ton of VFX, but when it was in real life, it felt like real life in the same way that Doctor Who feels like it's in real life, right? Like, actually, I could have talked about that too because I did watch the finale of that, but that's too fresh and I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
And I have conflicting opinions about Jodie Whittaker's performance because I really like this Doctor, even though the writing was not great. But like Doctor Who, even when the VFX are bad, when they're in a place, when they're shooting in a town, when they're shooting in Cardiff, it feels like you're there. And the same thing with Sandman, the same thing with some other stuff. But like, very rarely did you feel like you were in the room in a lot of the Marvel movies. You did with She-Hulk, which I appreciated.
Yeah, they're in her office.
Yeah, like they're
They're
in a place.
at a bar. They're outside they're near a yurt. It's great. They're in a lodge. These places are real. It's wonderful.
I think like my recent like issue, or like you could flip it both ways, right? The thing I like or the thing I dislike, right, is there's like this tightrope that a lot of the Marvel properties walk now, where it's like, all right, are we going to focus on spectacle or are we going to focus on like storytelling, right? And I think that is why I liked Hawkeye more than I expected, because I went in like hoping for a spectacle, being like, okay, what can they even do with this small town New York story or whatever? And the answer was tell a good story. Like, just tell a fun story about this girl meeting her hero and then, you know, having this training moment. And the same thing was happening with WandaVision, right? And it's kind of like, okay, like we're telling this story, we're getting interest, but then there's the, you know, urge. It seems like there's like a button, right? And it's like spectacle button. We have to press it. And like during WandaVision, you know, we're going, and they're looking at the button and they're like, we're gonna hold off. We'll just keep telling the story. Let the writers come and do their thing. And then there's like 30 minutes left in the last episode and they're like, we got to press it. We have not pressed it all year. We got to press it. And then that's when things kind of just
restraint.
Things just start to fall apart, where it's like, okay, like things are just getting out of control. Things are way larger than life. Things don't look realistic because the budget just isn't there for some of these things. And it's kind of like you're kind of blowing away all of the story building you did up to that point. You know, granted, stuff still stands. Like we said, I think we all said we still enjoyed WandaVision to an extent. But like whenever they have that big spectacle, it's kind of like we throw all logic out of the window. We just want these two people to fight. We just want this thing to be over the top, and we're just going to end it like that because that's what everybody wanted, right? And, you know, that's kind of a bummer. So I hope, like, although Quantumania does seem like it's going to, I mean, that quantum realm, we're doing a lot there is all I'm going to say. But I hope there is a story with Kang and, you know, with Ant-Man and trying to figure out who these characters are at this moment in time after all that stuff has happened with Endgame. And if they can do that, then I think things will be good, just like they did with Loki and, you know, him coming to grips with his character. There were a lot of questionable CGI moments in that too, but I think the story like definitely outshined any of those complaints anybody had.
Also, just give me more Jonathan Majors eating
he
the
just
scenery.
Oh my God.
Let that man sit at a desk and talk about the nature of realities and why he's actually the good guy. You just aren't seeing it his way. Amazing.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Oof. So good. I think, honestly, Joseph, given where you stand on Big Blue Beam in the Sky, third act, shenanigans, you might just enjoy the She-Hulk of it all. It's a nice, I think it's a refreshing break and also acknowledgement of some stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I like this.
And before I wrap up my thoughts, I do want to say the cast was phenomenal. I mean, especially the human cast, like the non-superhero cast in this. Renee Elizabeth Goldsberry, who I just love from everything, was great. Like Ginger Gonzalez, also great. Like stole scenes playing Jennifer Walters' best friend, Nikki. Like, I mean, even Josh Segarra, like as Pug, like Pug was great.
Pug.
Like I love like not B tier, but like the human characters, like the second bananas, as it will, to oversimplify. Like I love those characters. Like what's his name from Ant-Man? Everyone's favorite. Luis is like one of the best. Like one of the best characters in that whole film, both films. So She-Hulk was great. It's a lot of good, cool character moments, and I think Joseph's gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, it also loves D-list super characters.
It
They're
does.
like, let's grab them, let's bring them in, let's give them. They're the B plot now. Let's go. I love it.
It's very good.
It's a show that loves Marvel comics so much.
Yeah,
It just loves them.
Totally.
It's like, let's do it. Well, Matt.
Yes.
If you had to sum up She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, in just 3 words, and you can't use She-Hulk, Attorney, or at Law, to describe it, how would you encapsulate this show?
Big green fun.
Big green fun. I like it.
Yep.
It is so fun.
It is. And like what I love is that it has like serious, great character moments too. Like it's not just goofy the whole time.
Yeah.
Like there is a cameo that has been overly spoiled, but I still won't spoil. But like it's exciting when you see that character, but then what they do with the character is even better. Like, the cameo could have been enough, but what they do with that character and his cameo in relation to Jen Walters, I think is, especially by the finale, is kind of brilliant. So
They love him.
Yes.
This show loves him too. They
Yeah.
love all these characters.
it's true.
Yeah.
It is true.
And it was a really smart idea to move the 7th episode to the 1st episode, because the 7th episode in these series are always the weakest.
It's true.
So you
That's
get the weakest one out of the way.
Yeah.
Then you just like sailing for the rest.
Sailing on through. Well, Rachel, it is now your turn. Please, the giggle makes me nervous. Please tell me, what is the most recent thing that you have watched?
As you know, it is the anime era
Yes.
of one Rachel Quirky Shank. And I watched an anime that I didn't enjoy very much, and it's fine. It's okay. It's called The Hidden Dungeon Only I Can Enter. Whatever. It's fine. I might watch more. I might not. I don't know. A little on the fence about it. But I decided that I so super wanted to talk about this anime that I rewatched it.
Oh my.
Just for today, because I
Amazing.
wanted to keep the rule that it's the last thing we watched. So I rewatched the delightful 12 episodes known as My Dress Up Darling.
I don't know this one.
Oh, it's the okay. So you're talking slice of life. Let's fucking go. So My Dress Up Darling is a story of a young man named Gojo, Wakana Gojo, who has a dream to follow in his grandfather's footsteps and become an artist of Hina dolls, which are like traditional Japanese dolls given to girls. They come in like a set, very much like that porcelain doll kind of like thing. And at a young age, he is told that this is a disgusting thing that he wants to do because he's a boy and boys are not allowed to like dolls. So he carries this trauma into his young adult life as a high school student. Very nervous to talk to people, thinks that if anybody finds out about his interests, they're going to dislike him, shun him, you know, the fear of being a weirdo in front of other people. But through a random set of happenstantial circumstances, he enters the sphere of his school's it girl, Marine Katagawa, who, as it turns out, is kind of a weeaboo and really wants to do cosplay. Now, she can't sew for shit, but Gojo can. So together they make cosplays for her of characters that she loves. And she kind of likes some really sexy anime characters. The very first character that she makes is from a video game where the girls are all sex slaves. So it's great.
Okay. All right. Okay.
yeah.
Just going for it. All right.
And yes, it is horny. Yes, it made me feel things. But it's horny in the way of your first love. You know, that like awkward, like, oh no, I don't want to be a weirdo creep, whatever. And these two characters, they fall in love so beautifully throughout this series. These tiny moments of like awkward sexuality, but also like it's not sexual. The entire scene where Gojo is taking Marine's measurements is absolutely bug nuts hilarious. He just cannot keep cool about it, and it's fine. She's very attractive. It's wonderful. It's delightful, and it's a story of this like budding romance, this friendship, this allyship. And in the same way that Food Wars understands food, this one really wants to explore the culture around cosplay. So they go to some cosplay events, meet other cosplayers. I think the manga goes on longer than the anime because the anime ends at episode 12, and I'm just like, I need more of these children being so in love with each other but not admitting it yet. It's absolutely beautiful. It's so lovely. I watched the dub, and the VO cast for it is phenomenal. Just I've never heard such beautiful flustered sounds come out of human beings in my entire life, and it encapsulates that entire feeling of your first love and how painful it is and how wonderful it is and how like deeply traumatizing it can be. It's so good. It's It's my favorite anime now, I think.
Wow.
I think it's
All
like
right. All right.
I have been reading some of My Hero Academia because I love My Hero deeply, immensely. But I'm also like, I want to watch the story unfold in the anime, so I'm like keeping it back on the manga. I am gonna plow the fuck ahead on My Dress Up Darling. I'm like, I have to know. I need to know. I have to see and understand every single thing about this story. And then when season 2 eventually comes out, I don't mind. I'll be ready emotionally. It's incredible. It's so good. Oh, I can't believe it also, like, because it's about cosplay and like cosplaying anime, manga, video game stuff, it takes moments to be like, yeah, slice of life manga. They're really fun. Nothing really happens, but everything happens. And it's like, babies, you're in one of those. You're in a light novel. It's happening to you. It's great. It's meta without being like cynical about it. It's so earnest and so sweet. And yes, you see some cleavage, kind of a lot.
Oh, a lot. Okay. All right.
kind of a bunch. Kitagawa's cosplays are very revealing. But it's also, I think, a really good instance of someone being sexy only when they consent to it. And Gojo recognizing that constantly, being like, I am attracted to you, but it is not my place to make that your burden, is really cool. And at least that's the way I read it. You might watch it and be like, this is filth. This is absolute. These panty shots will not stand. I will not have them. But I really appreciate what they're doing with the fan service as means to tell the story of these two young people, you know.
It sounds interesting. I mean, I used to watch so much anime growing up, and like now I just feel like I just don't watch a lot of TV at all anymore. You know, I'm still only on episode 3 of season 1 of My Hero. Like, I loved what I watched. I just like,
there's a lot of characters.
Yes.
there are. I think part of it is like, and I've talked about this before on the show. I watch a lot of TV with my spouse, and we're watching a ton of shows together. But like, then when I'm not watching something with them, because that's most of my TV watching, I want to play a video game or listen to music or whatever else. And so I just don't watch a lot on my own. Like Rick and Morty is the only thing I'm watching on my own because they're like 20-minute episodes, and like, you know, and then I'm watching Welcome to Wrexham, which are also like 20 to 30-minute episodes. And I've been watching a lot of YouTube lately and like, you know, video essays and stuff. And so a documentary feels that vibe. Like, I don't want to watch anything with stakes or a large narrative by myself because I just kind of want to tune out a little bit. But this anime does sound fun, and the fact that there's only 12 episodes actually makes me more interested because I know I don't like. Look, I'm curious about One Piece, and I've seen episodes here and there because I watch Toonami like anybody else. But to dive into that giant thing, like, I can't do it. It's like if I weren't. It's like why I don't watch Dragon Ball Super. It's like I love DBZ. I watched all of DBZ through the Buu saga. Watched GT, unfortunately. And then when Super started, I was like, oh yeah, new Dragon Ball, I'll watch it. And then I never did. And now that's also got a bunch of seasons. And I'm like, nope, not going to do it. I just don't have time. I haven't even watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And I loved the manga and I loved the original run of the series. And so like, I just have trouble committing to that stuff. But shorter things are a lot easier for me and more digestible.
Yeah.
So
and it's not only short, it's so breezy. It's just Gojo and Kitagawa, like, fucking broing out sometimes and then being like, oh, we're doing a home date. Oh, God. Oh, hell no. Oh, no. I'm going to cook lunch. Like, it's so slice of life. Like, there's no magical elements. You know, it's really just these two knucklehead kids being absolutely perfect for each other.
That's interesting. Like,
Ugh, I love them. I think about them all. I like wake up and I think about them. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with them.
I'm definitely on the other spectrum of the anime scale where I guess there is just so much anime out there that I'm always like, if I'm going to start an anime, let it be the best anime I can possibly watch. And in my eyes, that's like just crazy. I want to be shocked every episode. I want to see somebody pull out a new move that they've been training for 50 years every episode. But I will say every now and again, I'll walk into a slice of life anime and I'll say, wow, this is some good stuff. So hearing you talk so passionately about this short experience. And there's something to say about short experiences as well. Like me and my girlfriend recently watched Odd Taxi either earlier this year or last year. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
Odd Taxi's on my list.
And that was one where it's
Yeah.
like, all right, this one's chill. And then it ends and you're like, wow. And then my girlfriend Amanda was like, do you think they're going to come out with a season 2? And I was like, they don't need to. This is all we needed. We are satisfied. This is fantastic. And sometimes it's nice to come away from a show feeling like that was good. That was fun. I feel fulfilled. Granted, you are saying you want season 2 and you want to see these two
don't
kids.
get it twisted. They only did chapters 1 through like 39 for this, and I think there's 80 chapters.
Oh, okay.
So it's really left on a like, oh God, what's gonna happen to their budding romance next? Again, which is why I'm like, I'm going to plow through the manga. But I do believe that they are in development of a season 2. But even if they never made a season 2, there's something so wonderful about the way that this season ends, even if it kind of ends on a like, okay, we've got more to do with them, more cosplays, more awkward moments of like budding sexuality that is happening between them. But it does end on like a very solid place where it's like, okay, these two kids are gonna figure it out, even if they haven't like gotten all the way there yet. You know where it's going
Yeah.
based on like where they stop, and there's something very beautiful and wholesome about where it lands.
I love
You
that.
know, and there's so many moments where I was like, I did that as a fucking high schooler, didn't I? Oh, shoot. Like Kitagawa is very similar to like who I was as a young kid, you know, like very exuberant, like full of adventure, you know, kind of blissfully unaware of like her own sensuality in the world. Like she's just like, yeah, we're doing measurements, so of course you have to measure my bust. Like, what are you talking about? Don't this is the process, you know. It's very darling, and I just want those two kids to be happy for
Okay.
I just love them so much. And also, if you want, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to go on. If you want something, like, really shocking, the penultimate episode was the first time I watched a slice of life anime where I was just like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, the reality of young love, just, it happens so fast for them. Oh God. I don't want to spoil it, but I think about that penultimate episode kind of a lot. And maybe that makes me a pervert. I'll accept it.
I mean, I feel like the listeners already knew you were a pervert. I don't think this is new information. We're all perverts here. All right. Well, if, Rachel, you had to sum up my
God.
dress up darling without the words my dress up or darling, I guess dress up is one word in this case. Anyway.
Yeah, it's hyphenate.
It's hyphenated. What 3 words would you choose?
Wholesomely horny romance.
Perfect. Seems very on point. Direct, even.
There you go. I think that sums it up. I got feelings about it. But it's like reliving those first times, you know? Like
Right.
I think that's what's so evocative about it, because it does have such an innocence to it, you know, and like this ebb and flow of like, we're just broing out by the beach. Oh, feelings, they're coming, they're happening. Oh no, is this love? It's great. I adored it every second. I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna watch it a third time.
Amazing.
I read the first 2 mangas already. Love it. Into it. Great stuff.
Well, now it's time to
I'm
move
sorry.
on to. You're fine. You're great. It's time to move on to our guest, the incredible Joseph Hooperman. Not Hooperman. I'm combining your Twitter name and your last name.
Honestly?
I'm doing that thing.
I don't hate Hooperman, to be honest.
Hooperman.
It makes you kind of sound Jewish, Hooperman.
Da-da.
But Joseph, what is the most recent thing that you have watched that you've brought to the show?
Yeah, so I guess I'm going to be a little unoriginal here because the last thing I watched was House of the Dragon. All right? A lot of people watching it. I don't know if it has been discussed on this show before.
It has not.
We've not discussed it, but it has
okay.
been watched by
Okay.
me.
Ooh, okay. So
I did it.
let
I
me
survived.
let me give you guys a little breakdown of my feelings on this show.
Please do.
And that is, man, I freaking love just this universe, this world, and the stuff that's going on with it. Like, I just think that the show gives me something that I really just can't get with any other show. And that's just like seeing a whole plot, a whole like dance, a whole, strategic battle play out in front of you where you don't know anybody's true intentions, anybody's thought process, anybody's like processing of information. So, I mean, they do it so well where they did it in Game of Thrones and now they're doing it in House of the Dragon where, things will happen and it's like, oh, there's a big event that happened. These 8 characters all have the news of this event. Some will show it on their faces how they feel about it. Some won't. And it's up to you as the viewer to figure out, okay, like now that this event has happened, what's going on in the world? What's going to happen? Like, what are the politics that are happening behind the scenes? And some things you just can never guess. Like, there's no way to figure it out. You like 3 episodes later, you'll be like, oh, this guy was, behind this whole situation that was happening over here. I could have never known. Other times, there are seeds planted where you're like, oh, man, this person was hinting at this on episode 1. They've been playing a slow game, and now they're here. Or this was their character from episode 1. Like, they showed it very subtly or whatever, and now it's kind of blossomed, and now they're really showing their full true colors by the end of the season. So I really appreciate that, House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones ended in this big spectacle, and now we're kind of back at square one, but they're still focusing on whatever the core pillars of Game of Thrones are, which are the politics, the characters. Nobody's necessarily a good guy. Nobody's necessarily a bad guy. I mean, well, there are very much a lot of bad guys, to be fair, but like it's very much up to interpretation. And it's always shifting. Like every episode, I'd be like, man, I do not rock with Queen Alicent. Like, she is just out of pocket. And then the next episode, I'm like, honestly, she's the only good person in the show. Like, we need to support Queen Alicent because she needs to be protected at all costs. And that just keeps flipping every episode. And there's not many shows that do that. Like, a lot of times, it's either, hey, this is the person to cheer for, this is the person to root against, or it's something where it's like, okay, this person is supposed to be the hero, but it's complicated. But it's very rare that you get a wide cast of characters where you can love or hate them at the drop of a hat in any episode. So I just absolutely love it. And where they took the plot at the end of this season, where they opened it up and like, it was very much like, hey, like things are going to be moving quite fast in season 2, but how we got there was so unexpected. Like, it was a very natural is not the word because nothing is natural in this world of dragons and kings and queens or whatever. But it was very much like, hey, things played out, and even the people in the show will clearly be shocked by how this played out, and they just have to recover, right? It's like if I went on stage for an audition and I'm flubbing my audition, but I'm like, do the directors, the casting directors know I'm flubbing? Like, they know how I'm feeling? Like, how do I react? Like, who did the people before me do a better job or worse job? You just don't know what's going on. You never know what's going on through anybody's head. And I think that's what makes the show great. There are some questionable moments. I think they do lean into shock factor a little too much in certain areas when they don't have to because the main storyline is great. But man, I do love dragons though, and I appreciate the dragon CGI a lot this season.
The dragons do look good. I think that the show really, really shines in the times when it is not trying to do Game of Thrones directly. Yeah. Sometimes I think they go for those big tentpole-y moments, and I'm thinking about penultimate episode again, where it was just like, oh, we had to have a big moment, but we kind of haven't resolved that. It felt very like Cersei's arc near the end, where it's like, okay, we did this. What's the consequence? Oh, there aren't any? Okay. You Game of Thrones it real hard, But the times when it's like very character driven are some of the best moments, The dinner scene.
Oh, man.
With like everybody gathered. It's like fucking Thanksgiving.
Yes.
It's some of the best stuff on TV. and I want so bad for this show to step out of its own Game of Thrones shadow and no longer be beholden to it. Like, I'm thinking change the theme song, maybe make that weird dagger less important. You're really relying on a dagger
Yeah.
that just encapsulates a disappointing ending.
Yes.
Constant
reminder.
And it really strides when it is not thinking about what happens in 172 years. Like, it really, really does. The acting is brilliant. Matt Smith is such a delight to watch. Emma D'Arcy, so radical. Love it so much. Yeah, I'm with you. I really do think that this first season was definitely like this show growing its own beard, and I'm actually excited for season 2 in a way that I wasn't expecting to be, because Game of Thrones hurt my feelings so badly.
Yeah.
I'm still hurt. It hurts, and it's still hurting.
Yeah, I think we're definitely in a place where, like, Game of Thrones at the end of the core show was very much like, hey, we're just trying to figure out things. We're just trying to end this thing. We're trying to wrap it up. We're just going to do whatever we need to. Season 1, House of the Dragon, is very much, hey, we've set up a game. It's almost like an interactive game. It's like a murder mystery type deal where it's like, hey, we're setting up a game for you. Like, this is something you can play along with, right? Like, you see the entire chessboard, you see the entire game, and we're going to move pieces, and you just determine, what that means for the game, right? So, like, there were moments in literally in the last 10 minutes or so of this season where things happen, and I was literally turning to my girlfriend Amanda, and I'm like, no, but you don't understand. This means this, right? So because of this, like, the numbers are off. So now this used to be an advantage. Like, I don't know about this, but also, like, this other thing happened. And like, are they like, was this intentional? Like, how are we going to do that? Like, how is this information going to come across to the other players in the game? Like, so there's just so many things to play around with, like, in the second season. Are we going to start with a time skip? Like, are we going to start immediately where things left off? Like, it's just so fun to, like, think about, like, where things might go. And the scary part is hopefully, because there is a big gap, and there's, I guess, this war spans across, I don't know, a lot of years. Like, there is the opportunity to leave some things ambiguous, which I like. Whereas in Game of Thrones, it was like, we got to deal with these White Walkers. And, I know they were, I know we talked about this for 7 seasons, 7 years or whatever, built this up to a big deal. But, we got 2 episodes left, so we got to cut it off right here. And that was like one of my least favorite moments of the series. I mean, I guess everybody's all in agreement with that. But right now, like, while I'm playing the game, while I can think of my own future possibilities about how things play out and not have them be completely shattered by pacing or anything like that, I don't know. I can't complain. I'm loving it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be Demi Downer a little bit. I watched the first episode of Game of Thrones and then never watched it again. When they pushed that young child out of the tower, I went, no, I'm good. I've had enough.
A lot of child death in that universe.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And so, like, when I heard about this show, I was just like, I don't care. And I'm sure it's great. It's one of those things. And the funniest thing is, unlike any other property that I haven't had interest in, this is the only one where every time I tell people I don't like Game of Thrones, they go, you don't like Game of Thrones? And I'm like, I like fantasy and I like Lord of the Rings, but I also hate Tolkien's writing. I don't like the books. I like the movies. But that said, I haven't watched Rings of Power yet either. I don't know. I'm sure it's great. I haven't gotten into it, but it's cool to hear how much you both love it, especially you, Rachel, who I know.
I don't love it. I'm not going to say I love it. I have plenty of umbrage with this season. I think that the time skipping wasn't my jam. It's one of those, like, I feel like this was them growing the beard season because they did need to lay the groundwork of, like, who these characters are on fundamental levels. But when you suddenly switch actors in the middle of stuff and you're like, okay, now it's 2 years since that last thing happened, like, there's not a lot of fallout that you get to see in real time. And again, it's kind of like that Cersei not having any consequences, you know, after like the Sept of Baelor, where it's just like, we got to keep going. You know, I think that's a pacing that I'm not attuned to in general, but since things are going to need to be more immediate in season 2 with like this war, the question of succession and all of this going on finally like snapping into place, I'm in.
Yeah.
But like I was keeping this show at arm's length for its entire run.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair enough, knowing how you felt about Game of Thrones ending.
It hurt
Like,
my
I get it.
feelings.
Yeah.
It still hurts my feelings.
Honestly, it's honestly a shame too with the time skips, because once it happened and after an episode or so, I was kind of like, okay, like the plot is still going and I'm still like keeping up. Things are fine. But the actors and actresses were just so good. And it was kind of like, I would really like, please give me flashbacks or something, because these characters were acting their little hearts out. And I think it's very rare where you get like a cast that melds so well with each other and plays so well off one of another, like from time to time. And even after the time skips, there was a lot of great chemistry and stuff. So I really wish we had, you know, at least a couple more episodes with the younger actors for sure. Besides the
It
little
would have been a
Targaryen
great
kids.
5 seasons of television.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, that was
100%.
condensed into one.
Yeah, I totally agree. But yeah, House of the Dragon.
Well, Joseph, if you had to sum up House of the Dragon, but you could not use the words House of the or Dragon
Sorry.
in your 3-word review, what 3 words would you use to describe the show?
I would use Thrones is back. Thrones
Thrones
is
is
back.
back.
Thrones is back.
May I do one for me?
Yeah, sure.
Competent table dressing.
All right, spicy,
about
but
it.
that definitely solidifies your feelings, though.
Got 'em.
Joseph, got him. Joseph, I'm so glad that you're here. For a little background for our listeners, Joseph and I became kind of fast friends over a couple days, thanks to Jacob McCourt and Luke Lewis. Also, 2 people like Jacob's been on this show and Fun and Games, and Jacob's the only one to do the trifecta. He's been on all 3 of my shows besides the interview show. But I had connected with Joseph and Luke online a little bit, and then we were all on a panel together for video game trivia at PAX West and became fast friends. And I became a fan of Player, which is your video game podcast, and started checking out all your stuff, your blog. So I'm really glad that we were able to get you on the show. I think the first question I have about Player, I did listen to today's episode as of when we're recording, and I was riveted by the windowsill lizard drama. I just was riveted. And for those who don't know what that means, they'll have to go listen. But talk a little bit about how Player came to be. You have a co-host, and like you seem to have this. What I love about the show is there's this kind of like pre-show banter where you just kind of check in with each other, and then you go into like the news of the week or your topic of the week, or sometimes both. And so I'm curious, like, where the inspiration for this show and the structure came from.
Sure, yeah. Well, I went to college in Atlanta, Georgia Tech, go Jackets, and my co-host Arsene also went to Georgia Tech. And it's a funny story how I actually met him, because I was in an organization called SCPC, and it was just kind of like the organization club of the school. And I was doing interviews to like hire new people or to get new people into the club. And Arsene was one of the people I was interviewing, right? So I'm talking to him and I'm like, we're having a good interview. I'm like, okay, this is good. And I'm like, so do you know anybody in the club already? And he's like, oh yeah, I do know people in the club. And I'm like, oh, okay, who do you know? And he's like, oh, I know you. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, like I had lunch with you one time when we were hanging out with a mutual friend. I'm like, I didn't even talk to you. How are you using how are you using me as a reference in an interview with me? I don't know how this is going on, but this dude is hilarious. So like ever since then, we've been best buddies all through college. And when I moved to Seattle and he stayed in Atlanta, I wanted a way for us to stay connected. And we both love video games. We talk about video games all the time off the podcast. So I was like, hey, I love talking about video games. I want to do a show. Why don't we just do it, try it out. and use this to kind of talk about whatever games we were playing, or, enlighten the public about, certain things that, our spouses might not know about certain games, and they'll listen and they'll learn something, or people that do know games might hear our opinions and have a hot take or want to talk to us about it. So it's just a way to like start a discussion. And I think the banter at the beginning is our way of kind of bridging the gap, where people that don't necessarily care about video games, a lot of times they'll listen and hear the banter at the beginning of the episode and say, hey, this is funny. Like, let me see what else these guys are talking about, and end up learning a little bit more through the episodes as well. And yeah, it's kind of wild, because every time I see, like, I had one friend who likes video games all right, but she is obsessed with The Last of Us 2. So she specifically watched our Last of Us 2 review episode, and I was talking to her at a party or whatever, and I was talking about my coffee table, and she's like, oh yeah, that's the coffee table that costs like $800, right? And I'm like, what? Like, what? This? How do you know this? Like, and she was like, oh yeah, I listened to it in your podcast. I'm like, whoa, this is odd. This is very odd. Same with Luke Lewis. We were in, it was during the PAX weekend. He was like, oh yeah, like, didn't you go here for, this event? I'm like, how do you know this? Like, oh, I heard it on this episode. I'm like, this is super odd. So I like that people are connecting these fun stories through our banter, and then kind of like playing it back to us, or getting a good laugh out of it, or whatever it is. So that's kind of the story of the pod.
I like how your immediate reaction to people telling you things about your own life that you don't even remember talking about on the podcast is like, what the hell are you talking about? Because that is the one thing that, like, it doesn't happen often, but when it does, like, someone will mention like, oh, remember that time you and Rachel talked about this thing? And I'll go, no, I've recorded so many podcasts, I don't remember anything I've ever said.
Yes. Yeah, no, I will very instantly forget this episode as soon as we've got it edited in the bag. I'm gonna be like, what did I talk about? I have to go back and check the Discord to make sure that I'm not bringing the same thing in each episode. I'm like, did I already talk about this thing or that thing? Yeah, no, my memory is trash.
But I like also that, like, you talk about how, like, it's very clear that you guys are very good friends when you listen to the show, and like that's the origin of this show. All of my podcasts my co-hosts are longtime friends of mine that I were like, hey, we like this thing, let's talk about it. And I just think it's a good starting point. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of industry podcasts and podcasts that people are hired to be on that also have some great banter and great interaction, but there's something about the chemistry of actually doing a thing with a friend. I mean, the downside is, and I'm sure it's the same for you guys, this is my friendship with Rachel now. We occasionally hang out in real life, but mostly this is our friendship now, making content.
Yeah, that is 100% true. I mean, like, literally, like 3 episodes ago or 4 episodes ago or whatever, this man, Arsene, literally revealed to me that he was having a kid on the podcast. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, is this how we reveal information to each other? Like, is this what our relationship is now? And the answer is yes, this is how our relationship is. So, yeah, it's a double-edged sword, because one, it's like, okay, all of our conversations are content to some extent, but also I've had a lot of friends in college that I have unfortunately drifted away from, or that I can't talk to once a week. So this is kind of like a unofficial friendship contract between us, where it's like, hey, as long as we're doing this, like, we have a reason to talk to each other each week, which is fun.
So
Matt,
true.
we have to stay friends. What'll we do if the podcast falls apart? Oh no!
I love that.
Yeah,
an unofficial friend contract.
The best things about making the content with friends, like, it's that chemistry you can't teach people. You've either got it or you don't. And I think that's what's so fun about this medium in particular, because the people are tuning in not for our hot takes. I mean, yeah, they're great. There's some hot shit happening, but it's to have that sense of camaraderie and connection and that lack of artifice around it. It's just like some buddies hanging out, and it feels like you're hanging out. Hey, listeners, I see you, I hear you, I listen to podcasts too, I fucking get it. Like, we're all just like living in that vibe of friendship. And it's so lovely to see people be able to access that, and really, like, keep things going through this weird art form of podcasting.
Yeah. I was one of those people at the beginning who was like, it's not art. And now as I've gone further along and started doing way too many of them and editing too many of them, I'm like, no, this is art. It's just a different kind of art.
It's the lie that we were told that art has to be hard. Art is simply making something out of nothing.
Yes, correct.
This was what was here was dead air, and what is now is an episode talking about nonsense. That's art.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
yes.
I'm not
fine.
highbrow about it. Fucking art.
No, fuck it. I do also want to talk a little bit about your blog Can't Pause, because as someone who had a blog and kind of let it die, and like everyone's had a blog, right, at some point, and like everyone takes a dabble at writing, or even had a live journal or a Tumblr or whatever, like invests in those kinds of like aggregators. What I love about your it's essentially a blog. It's a written, you write articles about and review games and talk about games, do previews, all sorts of stuff. My favorite one that I've read is your Incredible Tunic review, which also one of the best might be my game of the year so far. I still can't.
Wow.
I can't decide. Elden Ring's up there because of like the overall experience and being wrapped up in the hype of it, because I played it when it was new. But I played Tunic like 2 weeks ago for the first time and like loved it. To the point where Jill Grodin, formerly of Game Informer, now of the Indie Informer, like was constantly tweeting at me when I would like post updates about the game. Like, yeah, it's great, isn't it? Oh, tell me when you get to this part. But what I love about your writing is like it feels very like you're not. There's nothing wrong with highbrow reviews that are like really trying to overly dissect, but you don't seem to do that. You seem to really want to make these pieces approachable, and like, what if someone who had never played a video game before found my article because they were Googling this video game to play? Was that always the intent, is to kind of make this approachable writing where anyone, whether you're a hardcore gamer, or casual gamer, or like somewhere in the middle, could read it and understand?
Yeah, I mean, kind of the idea behind the website was, so for Player and the Player podcast, like we never really figured out like what our goal was. Like, we wanted to make it a approachable podcast for people that had never played games, but also, something that people that did play games enjoyed. But like, we didn't want to do the song and dance of having to get a review out at this specific time, or having to drone on about certain aspects that you feel sometimes like compelled to with a video game podcast. So we kind of just let that be our friend time, talking about games in whatever manner we want, right? So for me, I still had this kind of like pent up, energy in me about certain games that I played, where I was like, just like you, I played Tunic and I'm like, this game is incredible. Like, I need to talk about this somewhere. So that's kind of what Can't Pause is, where it's like, okay, these are all the games that I'm playing. These are just my opinions. Like, I don't want to try and dress it up to be like this, masterful dissection of this game. This is just the opinions of a guy who played it and is now trying to think critically about his feelings, after playing said game. Because at the end of the day, when we talk about games, or we talk about shows like we do on this podcast, it's like, what's going to make me go play a game, right? Is if somebody recommends it that I trust, that I know, and they tell me what made them excited about it personally, because that means that something about the game connected with them. And I know this person, so, sometimes what connects with them is not what connects with me, and I understand that, but I can take their review and kind of use that baseline to, make my own opinions. And I kind of wanted to do that with the website, where it's like, hey, these are fantastic games. Here are my reasons why. Like, I don't want to use a ton of crazy metaphors or, references, because some people just might not get that. I can reference, whatever game that came out 10 years ago, but if this is a kid who's buying his first video game, he's not going to get that. He just wants to know if it's good or not, and why, in the most simplest terms. So that's kind of my goal. And I guess the other goal is to highlight things that people might not, see otherwise. Like, I think as great as Tunic is, I think that like it should have so much more attention and praise than it currently does. And that's why I reviewed it and gave it the review score that I thought it deserved, a 9, I think. Because like, this was made by one guy, Andrew Scholdice, I think is his name. And this game was not life-changing for me, but in terms of the games I've played this year, it definitely moved me, and it's a game I will probably never forget. So I wanted to put my thoughts out there and give him the credit that I felt like he deserved. And, I want to continue to do that, not only with, the big Elden Rings that are truly masterpieces, and people who, enjoy video games should at least be aware and, hopefully can appreciate it at some level, but also a lot of indie games that don't have huge budgets or the marketing resources as these AAA titles. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I mean, I agree completely. I mean, I've talked to you about fun and games before, and like the purpose of side quests is to share just why you love a thing, but also something that we do on the main show is we often want to feature indie games more than the AAA stuff, because also it's like Waypoint, IGN, Giant Bomb, they're all going to cover those AAA games, and whatever they say is going to kind of overshadow what I say, because they're big, these huge publications with tons of readers and listeners who trusted them for years and years. But if I'm talking about Citizen Sleeper, one of my games of the year, I haven't decided where the hierarchy is yet. Still got some time, like 2 months. This is going to be a like photo finish for deciding my game of the year, because I have like 3 right now. But like Citizen Sleeper, we got to interview the creator, who is a trans creator, non-binary, I believe, actually. Going to restate that because I want to be sure that I am clear on this
Gender is
person's...
a spectrum.
It's a spectrum. But no, the creator of the game is non-binary and an incredible human. And like, I had been a fan of their work for a while. And when we were reached out by the PR agency to get review codes for Citizen Sleeper, and I had already been eyeing it, I'm like, yes, but can we talk to the creator? Because this was also created by one person. And it's just those kinds of games that often get overlooked, or like some of my favorite games are indie games that someone recommended on a whim. Endless love for Shovel Knight here and everywhere. I know you love it as well. Like Jeff and I talk about Shovel Knight all the time. The only reason I know what Shovel Knight is because Jeff Moonen lent it to me. My co-host lent me the 3DS version. I loved it so much that I stopped playing it and immediately bought it on the Switch. And like Shantae also, he lent me Half Genie Hero, and now I've played the entire franchise. Like, I think there's something about an indie game franchise that's just palpable when it really hits in a way that AAA stuff doesn't. Now, that said, as of when we're recording, Sonic Frontiers is about to come out. It's an open world Sonic game. Sonic is one of my favorite franchises in existence. If that game hits, I'm never going to shut up about it. So like, it goes both ways, but I think you're absolutely right, Joseph, that there's something special about indie games, and when you make those connections, like getting to do some of the interviews that I know we all got to do at PAX West, like I got to interview folks from Way Forward and from Yacht Club, 2 of my favorite indie houses. Like that felt like talking to Brad Pitt for me. Like, and I don't know that they see it that way, but I do, because they're important to me. And I'm glad that you have this space on Can't Pause to do that. And of course you review AAA games too, but like, I like that you've taken this space to really share. And why I wanted to highlight your Tunic review, which I hope people will go read, is because the way you share your experience is why I think we connected so well. You make it very personal. You're not trying to rate things and be like, I'm the end all be all. This is the fact. It's this is my opinion. I love this game. Here's why I love it. Or I didn't connect with this game. I really bounced off it, but here's why. Let me tell you. It's not this sucks or this is good. It's really an emotional investment in your writing and your podcasting to share your knowledge of video games.
An emotional investment in your taste in particular. Yeah. And I love so much to sort of piggyback off of this idea of like indie developers. Like, it really feels like supporting an underdog and helping put over something that may not go over otherwise. I'm not saying that like, wow, look at us, we're changing the world, but it's nice to like work as a community and appreciate each other and build each other up, like I while you were talking about Tunic, I found Tunic and I'm like, I'm gonna investigate this game. Sounds really great. So it worked. Got me. Here I am. Slow Fox baby. I will die for them already.
Oh, he's the best. Also, you should know they have accessibility options. My favorite thing about the game, like you could turn off damage. You could make it so you just play through the game and you can never die. Like, you can absolutely remove the challenge so you can experience the world, which I think is absolutely worth it. It's why I love Shovel Knight Dig. It's why I love Control. Like, these games that allow you to literally turn off damage or give yourself infinity ammo. Like, they're not cheats. They are accessibility options so people can experience these games at the level they want to experience them. And of course, accessibility options go beyond that, like colorblind mode in Last of Us and stuff like that. But like, it just, they're like, I made it through Elden Ring. I see why people love it. It was challenging. I died a lot. Community member, the incredible Glenn, helped me on almost every boss battle. But that said, like, if I could just give myself a little more damage resist or turn off certain things, the game would have been a much more pleasant experience the whole way through, and is the only reason why it may not be my game of the year. And so championing those kinds of games too. And so yes, Rachel, absolutely play Tunic. I hear it runs great on the Switch. It runs better on PC, but
Yeah.
I've heard it runs really well on Switch. I played it on my Steam Deck and loved it. I think it's a good handheld game. I'm finding that with Persona 5 Royal. I didn't love it on the PlayStation 4. I kind of bounced off it after like hour 10, but I'm like 7 hours in now, and I'm like, I got to play more of this game. I don't know. Like,
I need a
there's some
Steam
games that I
Deck.
feel like Persona 5 Royal I'm playing on the Switch, and it runs phenomenally on Switch. You'd think it was built for that system. So, like, I will say there's something about handheld gaming that I don't know. I like to lie on my couch with my Switch in my lap and just play.
Ooh,
Like,
yeah,
that's my favorite
Same.
thing.
I just finished up Cult of the Lamb, and like I loved streaming that game. It was so super fun to stream. Like, what a delight! There's so much poop in that game. Literally, just it's an asset you can use. But it would have been so fun on handheld because of that like cozy landscaping experience. It was something that like I ended up missing out on because like playing it for stream was very much like, okay, I should go back into the dungeon and do some action and move the story along. But honestly, I was like, I could have just sat there and moved houses forever.
True.
Ugh, such a good one. But yeah, it's just it's fun to be adamant in sharing what you love about this culture, you know, this entity of gaming, and getting a chance to push the needle through like your particular sensibilities. I love that. Thank you for doing that for games.
Yeah, I think the last thing I'll say is, you know, even when you try to focus on indie games, I think there's still like this really unfortunate song and dance that I have to do because of just the nature of how reviews are in basically anything, where it's like, okay, like a 7 means like I might play it. Anything below a 7 means is not worth playing. I feel like that's usually how people look at reviews.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about this a long time, and I'm trying to, you know, find a way to be authentic while also not trying to turn people off of a game just because I personally didn't vibe with it. So there will be indie games where, you know, I'll have conversations with the devs and I'll be very excited about their vision, but then I'll ultimately get the game and it just doesn't click with me. And I feel really bad because I'm like, I do not want to be, this game does not already have coverage. I don't want to be the reason that people don't go and play this game. So like, that's also why I try to be particularly personal in my reviews. And I have no problem like talking to the reader directly and saying, hey, like, I did not like this game, but I do understand why people would enjoy it. So please don't use this as a, you know, knock against the game as a whole and a reason to completely ignore it. And I specifically have a review guide link on my page, usually, that I'll link to if it's like a super critical review. And I'll basically say, hey, look, if I give it a 7, this is exactly what I'm saying. I'm still recommending this game. I just have certain problems, and I think this is the audience that would appreciate that. But even going a step further, I recently started a YouTube channel, or I've had it for a while, but I'm planning some content on it. And basically, the goal that I'm trying to achieve there is, how can I highlight indie games without my personal bias getting in the way, without like a review score, like getting people to have preconceived notions about what my thoughts about the game are. And basically what I've decided to do is on my YouTube channel, Can't Pause, I guess is the name, but I don't know how YouTube name handles work anymore. My goal is just to highlight as many games as possible per episode. So probably like 10 indie games, and categorize them. Hey, platformers, 10 platformers that you might like. They're usually all going to be indie or, you know, relatively small teams. And I'm just going to highlight why I like them, because hopefully that will, you know, distance people away from the actual number score and actually have people, because I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like, when are people most excited about games? When they see a trailer that's like 15 seconds and it's not really full enough to get the whole picture of the game. They'll do their research and decide if they want to buy it or not. So that's kind of my goal, is like, hey, these are a lot of indie devs that have worked years on these projects, don't really have any budget, or really putting a big gamble on their passion and their projects here. So hey, I'm going to highlight 10 of them. I'm just going to show you a snippet, the best snippet, and I'm going to tell you why this interested me. And I'll put the Steam link here, or whatever link, and I'll let you go and discover that game on your own. And if you come to my website, I will have reviewed some of these games, and I'll give you my personal opinion, and hopefully you can understand my taste and sensibilities for games and kind of use that to make your own judgment. But I really do want a platform to just spotlight indies, just spotlight creators without having to pass some judgment on their final product. Because at the end of the day, I love reviewing games. I love talking about my opinions on games. Like, people who have listened to the Player Pod long enough will know that me and Kingdom Hearts 3 are in an eternal fight that will never end. I will never give up on my fight against that game. But, at the end of the day, almost every game has an audience for somebody. Like, especially these indie games where you can very clearly see the passion and the desire to satisfy some audience, or some personal, joy about, retro games that they enjoyed or whatever. Just like Tunic, like the Zelda inspiration is amazing, but there's clearly an audience that would, like you and I, who would love that. So I just want to give those games a chance. So get rid of any barriers, get rid of any chance to have some negative feelings toward the game, and just have people try and latch on and do their own research for the games. And hopefully that will bring in some more purchases, some more eyes on the creator. So hopefully a year from now, 2 years from now, I can say, hey, I helped these devs get, 10 more purchases on their games, 1,000 more followers on Steam, whatever it is. But that's kind of the ultimate goal right now.
I mean, I love that. I mean, I think it's funny, like with Shovel Knight Dig, which you mentioned before, like Jeff and I did our very first review for Fun and Games, because when we started Fun and Games, we were like, we don't want to do reviews. We don't want to do news. We want to just chat, because we want to keep it more open and emotional and less overly critical. Like, be honest, but not super negative or anything. But even when we did that review episode, which you can find on Fun and Games, we didn't do a score. We did kind of like, would we recommend this to purchase? Or we gave a range of or a descriptor for what we thought of the game as a summation, because numbered scores are so easy. Like, for me, everyone's like, a 5 is a bad game. I'm like, no, a 1 or a 0 is a bad game. A 5 is a fine game. Like, my perfect example, the most 5 game in existence is Sonic Forces, and I'm a Sonic fan. But Sonic Forces is a absolutely playable, mediocre Sonic game. It's not the worst Sonic game I've ever played. That is Sonic Lost World, which was unplayable. I got an hour in. But this was a perfectly fine 5. And honestly, sometimes I like to play a 5. I don't need every game to be a mind-blowing experience. I want them to respect my time on a level. But I'm with you, Joseph. I think that it's why we don't really do, that's why Rachel came up with the 3-word review, because to do an actual numbered review for TV shows, it's first of all, if I gave, to me, She-Hulk is a 10, but I could see why She-Hulk wouldn't be a 10 for someone else if they don't like sitcoms or whatever else. And so the numbering scores go out the window if people have different tastes, right? I can say that Control is probably good for almost anyone. Mm-hmm. Because of the way that story is written and the way they give you those accessibility options, I would give Control a 10 and say it's for everyone. But Shovel Knight Dig's not for everyone. I could absolutely see Rachel being absolutely frustrated with that game because of the challenge and the difficulty, and even with the accessibility options, it's you hit walls pretty easily.
Mm-hmm. I do get frustrated relatively quickly at my inability to succeed at certain video games. I'm working toward Elden Ring. I'm working toward it. I'm not excited, though. I'm really nervous. I got frustrated trying to beat the final boss of Cult of the Lamb, and it's not a hard boss battle. It's not.
It was kind of tough. I'm not gonna lie.
It is a bit tough, but once I got the rhythm of it, then I was like, oh, got it. Cool.
Yeah.
And I know that's what Elden Ring is too. Don't at me, gamers. I get it. I know.
But I feel like people look at review scores and just go, oh, okay, I understand. And the reality is you don't. You can't. I can't stand people who like go to a Destructoid article or an IGN article and drop down to the number and just go, okay, I understand now. Like, you don't. The article is setting up that number. If you don't read the article, you don't understand that number because there's no universal scale for reviewing things. So, well, I hope you get to like really continue to do that. It was so cool to hang out with you at PAX West. I hope to see you at PAX East and other events in the future. Definitely going to get you on my other podcast as well. But thank you so much for being so generous with your time, Joseph. This was a blast to have you on. Before we wrap up and before we ask you our final question, we do have some people to thank. But before that, Joseph, just tell folks where they can find you online if you wish to be found, find the podcast, find the website, all that really cool stuff.
Yeah, I guess the easiest way to find me, playerplayerpod.com has all of our social media information, our podcast links, and can'tpause.com has all of my information about the website, also my social media, and it has a picture of my dog if you go to the About page. So go ahead and enjoy that. Go ahead and see
Love a good dog
Flora.
photo.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Amazing. Go check out all that stuff. Please follow Joseph. He's a worthwhile follow, and check out all of his great reviews and chats. Podcast is great. Hoping to grace that incredible podcast someday. Just show up and banter. But now, Joseph, if you can hang tight, we have some folks to thank before we wrap up the show.
Thank you first and foremost to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble.
Also, thank you to the incredible Katie Bug for our awesome show art, the show logo that is. We've been using it for so long, and we love it so very much.
Yeah.
Also, I feel compelled to thank the incredible Case Aiken.
No, never.
Who designs our episode-to-episode show art. If you're looking on Spotify and a bunch of other players, if you see the cool show art with our guest's photo and film reel with the stuff we talked about, that's designed by the incredible Case Aiken, who I love, and Rachel, the jury's out.
I'm gonna fight Case Aiken in the street. On site.
On site.
No,
on
not
site.
That's not true. The last time I saw Case Aiken, we did hug. I'm breaking cafe. We're not actually fighting. Don't worry.
It's just a fun bit.
Me? Bits? Never.
Never.
Who knew?
Not
no,
you.
No. I'm a kick Case Aiken in the gut though. It's gonna be awesome. Also, I would like to thank the Certain Point of View Podcast Network for not kicking me in the gut out of the network. You can check out all of our wonderful, delightful shows over at certainpov.com. We also have a Discord server you could join today. And you can check out cool shows like Books That Burn.
Yes, that's one of the shows on the network. Very good.
Saturday Morning Confidential.
Correct. An actual title of a podcast on the network.
It's real. It happened. Is Rob Thomas not that Rob podcast? Robcast?
I mean that's a podcast on the network that's currently on hiatus, but yes, correct.
You check out their backlog. Weirdos.
This is not a bit, listener. Rachel doesn't remember the names of things. Lucky that they remember my name.
It's got all of the long names.
This is true. You can also check out more episodes of this show if you haven't yet. If you're new to the show, we're also on every podcast platform under the sun.
Yeah, go back in the past and find something to cancel us over.
Yeah, exactly. Also, as Rachel said, you can join the Discord server going to certainpov.com. There's a permanent invite link there. Also, of course, rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. It really helps us to grow the audience. If you are on Apple Pods, a quick review, 5-star, take your time, even 4-star. We're a fine podcast. It's okay. I get it. But
Listen,
we just
review. Established that numbers are meaningless, so put whatever number you want.
Yeah, honestly, I think all the reviews help. I don't think it matters what number you rate it. So do whatever you want.
Again, go back in the backlog, find something to cancel us over, give us a 1-star, write a screed. It'll be great.
It'll be great.
Feel just like She-Hulk.
And if you want to reach out to us, of course, we are on Twitter. I am DJ_Stormageddon. Rachel
I am Rachel Corky.
Made it real easy for you. And of course, the show is Screen_Snark. You can also write us a missive at screensnarkpod@gmail.com. And now that rambling is out of the way and we've done all of the marketing required by law and our contract with Satan, Rachel,
we don't go to jail another episode. Hooray.
Rachel, please ask Joseph our final question.
Okay, I will. Joseph, I'm dying to know.
Okay.
If you could choose any one trope from movies or TV to instantly and magically become true in your life, which trope would you choose?
Oh my gosh, what the heck?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Uh-huh.
How about the trope where, you go through a long, arduous process. It seems like, you shouldn't have gotten through it, but now you got to go all the way back. Guess what? You're just all the way back. There was no issue getting back. You're just there.
Let's smash cut.
The Lord
Let's
of
add
the
that.
Rings fade outs just
Yeah.
successively. You're like, you did it. It's fine. Don't worry. Yeah.
Let's
You're home.
add that to my life. I go for a long run. I'm tired.
Ooh.
I got to run back home. No, let's just smash cut home. Yeah. Let's do that.
Star wipe. We're home.
There you go. Love it. My
Perfect.
favorite thing in the Yakuza video games is that if you battle your way all the way through a dungeon, they never make you fight all the way back. They're just like, up, you're done. You get
Yes.
to exit the building. And it's like, yes, perfect.
Thank you.
Let's just bring that in real life. Excellent choice, Joseph. Thank you again for taking the
Yeah,
time to
thank
join
you.
us. Please go check out all of Joseph's stuff. I also, of course, as always, am obligated to thank the beautiful, stunning, brilliant, hilarious Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I am honored, not obligated, to thank my wholesome, horny romance co-host, Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm not.
Really not wrong. It's
Sometimes,
accurate.
really. I think as long as I'm on an anime kick, I'm never going to be wrong.
No, yeah, you'll be pretty
Unless I watch
accurate.
Attack on Titan, then I would be absolutely wrong.
Well,
Yeah, probably. And of course, we want to thank you, our incredible listeners. Thank you for being here. We would not have the show without you. We will see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
Hey,
Oh, hey, Jeff.
what's going on, guys?
Oh, talking about Superman.
Oh, cool. I could talk about Superman.
I could talk some more about Superman.
We know.
I'll bet a few people would want to get in on this.
I'm down.
That sounds like fun. I'll do it.
Cool, let's do it. We can call the show Men of Steel.
And you can find it at certainpov.com.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yay.
CertainPOV.com.